Computer, what is a gyro?
€1 is about $1 and 4 cents.
Great Scott, that's cheap. Engage. Is a gyro the same thing as a doner kebab? Technically yes. The words doner and gyro both mean to turn, referring to the meats being turned around on a spit. But there are different types of meat used and techniques employed. Today I will be teaching you how to make the American version of a gyro with a British spin on it. Better and cheaper than you'll find at your local kebab dealer. But I'm going to make it better and cheaper. I'll turn you into a Naan Bread Pro and provide a cheeky little chapter that revolves around elevating the humble iceberg lettuce. Roll on with the food. Not essential, but I recommend you grinding your own meat. This mixer cost me $50 and I use it frequently. Even though pre-ground meat will suffice, grinding it yourself allows you to know exactly what meat was used and when, making it better quality, safer and cheaper in the long run. As a matter of fact, gyro for gyro is about $6 cheaper with the grinder. Think of it like this: you can turn a leg of lamb into ground meat, but you can't turn ground lamb into a leg of lamb. The only specialty ingredients used in this recipe are nigella seeds. These add a lovely, very distinct taste to a naan bread, and this shawarma spice mix. Links to both are in the description. As far as the nigella, these are essential to naan breads in my opinion, but you can try using cumin or caraway seeds. I like to use spice blends for kebab and gyro meat, but I'll provide a list of spices in the description that you can use instead. But if all you used was cumin, it would still be very delicious. Gyro meat or kebab meat was somewhat of a mystery to me prior to the making of this video. In order to get the unique texture of gyro meat, you have to salt cure the meat. We're basically making it into sausage meat. If you intend on grinding the meat yourself, just chop the pieces up into roughly 1-inch cubes and then add 2% of that meat's weight in salt, distribute fully, and this will rest in the fridge overnight. 24 hours is the sweet spot. If you skip this step, the meat will taste fine, it just won't have that springy, bouncy texture that you associate with sausage meat, or in this case gyro meat in general. The salt breaks down specific proteins in the meat, and in a nutshell this makes it all bind together more tightly than it would if it was just pure ground meat. Not to worry if you don't have a grinder, you can do it with already ground meat. Just spread the ground lamb out in a bowl so that salt is easier to distribute and give it a thorough mixing in the bowl. Then just cover or put in a plastic bag and refrigerate for the 24 hours as you would with the cubes. With the meat curing in the fridge, it's a good opportunity to make the naan breads and the sauce so that everything's ready for the next day. This naan bread recipe is ridiculously easy, and if you try this one out, I promise you'll never buy naan breads again. All the ingredients just get thrown into a bowl and mixed together, starting with the dry ingredients first and the wet ingredients after that. As always, there is a recipe and full instructions in the description. Instant yeast does not have to be activated in water like active yeast does. A more accurate name for active yeast would be you need to activate this yeast. Now that everything's in the bowl, just mix it all together till it starts to form a little dough ball and transfer it to a floured surface. We're just going to give it some light kneading, which is more to mix the ingredients together than it is to form gluten chains in the dough. The bread flour has a higher gluten content than your average all-purpose, and we're not even looking for a crazy high leaven anyways. We're just looking for some bubbles and a nice soft chewy naan bread that will crisp up later in the oven. After about 3 or 4 minutes of light kneading, it's time to rest the dough. Put it in a bowl with a lid at room temperature for 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes are up, it's time to take the dough ball out. You'll see it's risen a little bit. It's going to be a lot softer and springier. Cut that bigger ball into 3 smaller balls and make into tight little dough balls. Check out my recent pizza video recipe for more dough ball making shenanigans. Lightly dust your 3 dough balls with some flour, cover with a clean dish towel and rest that at room temperature for another hour. After that further hour of resting, heat up a pan to medium-high heat while you roll out your first dough ball. Give it a roll on each side a couple of times and then flip it exactly 45 degrees and roll it out again. If you haven't got a rolling pin, you can just use a wine bottle, an empty wine bottle or something like that. Once the dough has reached roughly this size of your desired pan, add a little bit of neutral cooking oil to the pan and then throw the dough in there. You should immediately start seeing the dough bubbling up. While that first naan bread is cooking, you can be rolling out your second ball. After a few minutes, just check the underside of it, have a cheeky little peek and see if it's browning. And if it's a nice golden brown, just flip it over to do the other side. Keep peeking at the underside of this one as well to see if it's starting to get some nice little brown bubbles on it. And when it does, the naan bread is c'est bon. Just keep repeating these steps until all 3 naan breads are made. Stick them on a plate. Cover with plastic, and I stuck mine in the microwave overnight because the microwave is airtight and fridges have a tendency to dry bread products out. Now, if you can't be bothered making naan breads, these gyros are just as tasty on some nice soft flour tortillas. In fact, the majority of the lamb meat that I change into gyros gets utilized this way. Stellar. No gyro is complete without yogurt and mint sauce, in my opinion, and this sauce is ridiculously easy to make. I recommend full-fat yogurt, or yogurt, a little bit of malt vinegar, and fresh mint is all you need. A pinch of salt, chop the mint nice and fine so you get more oils out of it. After you've added the vinegar to the yogurt, add the mint and stir it all together. The vinegar is going to add a lovely little residual sweetness and a bright acidity to the sauce. The salt curing of the lamb is what's going to give us the texture of gyro meat, and the following procedure will help us emulate the juiciness of it. After 24 hours of the meat salting, it's time to put all this stuff together. Add the buttermilk to a bowl, then add the gelatin to the buttermilk. Whisk until the gelatin has dissolved, and then add the white bread. Flip it over a couple of times so that the bread absorbs the mixture, and then set that aside while you grind the meat. If you're using already ground meat, then just watch an episode of Rick and Morty in the meantime. As you can see in the video, I throw 1 shallot in the grinder just to get the last part of the meat out. Whether you've ground the meat yourself or you've just watched an episode of Rick and Morty, it's time to put the ground lamb in a bowl with the shallots, the soy sauce, the shawarma mix, the cayenne pepper, the freshly chopped garlic, and to give all this a really good mix. Pretend as if you're kneading dough a little bit. This kneading action that you do while you're mixing it will help in obtaining the desired consistency of the meat. Give the bread mixture a good mixing up with a spatula or spoon. In the video here, you'll see me realizing I need a bigger bowl to do all this in. So I transferred it to a bigger bowl, but you can start off in a bigger bowl. Little pro tip for you there. With the bread mixture in there, I'm going to give it another good mixing up. And you can see me like punching it and treating it like dough in this clip. After everything's fully incorporated, you should test a little piece of the meat for seasoning. You can use a microwave for this step. When my resident taste tester and girlfriend tasted one of my final versions of the gyro, she asked me, what lettuce is this? It was, of course, the gyro's third favourite sidekick, iceberg. And might I add, a lettuce she has gone on record in the past as saying she doesn't like as it has no taste. Some Maldon sea salt and lemon juice is all you need. To be clear, this isn't so the iceberg tastes salty and acidic. This is because both are flavour enhancers. This I found to be a great teachable moment. On one side, it's a demonstration of how you should always be looking at your ingredients and seeing how you can get the most out of them. When you are adding salt to something, you should always be asking yourself if the flavours already present are becoming more pronounced, rather than whether or not you can taste the salt yet. Now it's time to put all this stuff together and stick it in your mouth. I like to de-seed the tomatoes. Tomato seeds can make anything mushy and watery, and this is also where the savoury component of a tomato is, and we won't be needing any of that. Also get some garlic thinly sliced, ready for the naan bread, and chop up some nice fresh cilantro to throw on top of the said naan bread when it comes out of the oven. First things first, let's get the naan breads in the oven. Melt a little bit of butter in a pan and throw the thinly sliced garlic in it. Then brush your naan breads with the garlic butter and top with nigella seeds. That'll go in the oven on 375 degrees for about 7 or 8 minutes. With the saute pan on medium-high heat, form your meat into little sausage patties and stick them in the pan. 3 or 4 minutes or until one side is brown and then flip over. I was looking for a slightly better aesthetic, so I pushed these ones into rectangles. And even though they were divine, super delicious, they didn't quite hit right. So I went with a thicker rectangle and gave them a really, really nice maillard. You can see here these big fat rectangle sausages. Let them rest about 3 or 4 minutes before you cut them. This will help to keep the juices locked inside. For this particular execution, I kept the naan bread whole. Squeeze a little bit of lemon on your lettuce and tomato and throw some sea salt in there. Slice up your kebab meat, as you can see, juicy in the inside with a nice crispy crust on the outside, and then assemble. Obviously not totally necessary, but very, very recommended are these squeezy bottles. I'll link in the description. They just give you that kebab shop aesthetic that simply spreading doesn't provide. They also make it extremely convenient for subsequent sauce applications on further gyros. Incidentally, I used the pre-ground lamb for the gyros that you see on your screen right now. Last night, I helped drink a bottle of champagne and another bottle of champagne, celebrating the raving success that the New York pizza video had. So words cannot describe just how delicious this is. The meat is slightly softer, but the mild reaction that I got off it, the crusty brown bits, more than compensates. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for watching anything that I make. I'll see you next time.